Hey, welcome back to the Buck Junkie Podcast. We're back with it was a frozen edition, I guess. That's why we didn't come last week. Yeah, we were going to have one last week, but if you wasn't at camp, you probably wasn't going to get down here. So.
It's pretty slick.
And Mississippi don't know how to prepare for snow and ice for sure.
Man, I tell you what, I had a blast hunting that stuff, though.
A lot of fun.
This episode ought to be brought to you by Buddy Heaters, because I would not have been in the stand last week if it hadn't been for Buddy Heaters.
How cold did it get in Mississippi last week? For those that don't know,
single digit.
7 degrees is the coldest it was in the stand when me and Michael got in one morning.
So I was out helping Dakota work one night, and when I got home at 2:30 that morning, and my truck showed -3, what it was showing on the dash.
-3. Cold. The wind chill was like -14 one
I've seen
morning.
it several days. It was in the negative teens on wind chill. It's freaking cold. I know
it was
that.
real cold.
I mean, I never even contemplated getting in a climbing stand by no means.
No. Man, I tell you what, you're a man if you could just set up in a ladder stand or a climbing stand as cold as it was the other day. I don't know how you could have done it. I wouldn't have wanted to climb. Man, how can you climb a tree when it's froze like that?
It'll slip.
Dude, I guarantee you, everything was froze.
Feet freeze to the stand. No.
It was cold.
I've
hunted in the single digits one time, maybe 2 times climbing a stand. And that was just because that's all. If we was hunting, that's all you had to hunt.
I was it was me and my brother-in-law Lance. It was New Year's Day. Golly, I don't know how many years ago that's been. Climbing stand, and it was probably about between 14, 15 degrees outside. And that's the only time I've ever killed a deer that cold.
It's miserable.
I can't imagine.
It ain't no hunting till 11 o'clock. If the deer ain't moving by 9 o'clock, I'm like, all right. I done froze all I'm going to freeze.
The reason why I wanted to be out there is because the deer were moving the whole time. They can't just lay up. Let's lay up in that tractor shed. That's the only place they could have been warm. They were moving. We had action. I mean, never did. I was looking for that 8-point we've been seeing for Michael, and me and him sit, I don't know, probably 6-7 times that week from over the weekend looking for that deer, and he never showed up.
But every day you wasn't there, he was broad daylight.
Oh, man. We'd see him on camera, and it'd be daylight, and we wouldn't be there.
The deer looks good on camera.
Oh, yeah. He looks good in person. I filmed him last week. Well, I went. So Michael didn't want to come last weekend after he hunted in the cold all week. So I said, I'm coming, man. I'm coming back to camp. So I drove back down, slip and slid all the way back down here. and then I went hunting, let's say it was that Friday afternoon. I don't know if I was texting y'all or not, but I was texting Michael. It was like that deer come out at 3:30. He stayed out there till dark and was feeding with them doe, and they were eating because that food plot, I was in the plantation plot, and the sun was on it, and so the food plot come on through after it started melting some, and so man, them deer were wearing out whatever they could get to.
Any green sticking up,
they were eating, and during the snow they were digging up the turnips. Man, they were out there. I got video of them pawing at the ground, trying to get them all up. It was. I mean, these deer around here they ain't used to that, so they don't know what to do.
So that was cool to watch them. You know, me and Melissa come down and hunted Friday afternoon too, and that was that's what she'd tell me. There was the deer would come out and they were walking around in a food plot. We really couldn't hardly tell where the turnips were and where the actual grains were. And she was like, "What are them deer over there digging in that ground for?" And I looked down there, and there were 3 or 4 of them down there. They were digging up the turnips. They stand up and have a mouthful of green crap and the turnip sticking out the other end.
So I learned something
by that.
Talking about that. I guess it was Wednesday or Thursday, when it was still heavy snow on the ground. Me and my wife and our dog, we were going to get out of the house, so we struck out. We went to walking all through the pasture right there by the house. And, of course, day one, when it first snowed, there was not a single track crossing our driveway. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, it was just blanketed snow, no footprints, no nothing. Day two, I guess they set up day one. Day two, they said it's time to eat. So it was tracks everywhere. So we got in the woods, got to walking around. Well, I got to following them. And you could see, plain as day where they were bedding, where they would, like Mikey say, they would scuff up and get some acorns or whatever they were to eat. But we got to following some of the tracks. And I want to know, and this is completely over my head, how does this affect these deer in Mississippi that ain't used to it? Because I was walking, you could see where them deer were stop and pee, and every one of them that I seen was peeing straight blood. Like, it looked like you'd shot a deer with blood in the snow.
They had to be dehydrated.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like, are they that bad dehydrated to where you're at that point, like
all the watering hoses froze up.
Like, and it wasn't just like 1 or 2 spots. Like, there was a dozen spots near our front yard to where you see where a deer was stop and pee, and it would be yellow, and then the dead center would be pure blood. And then Daddy said when he carried something off in the woods the other day that he seen the same thing. He's like, I seen that too. And he's like, I didn't really, didn't think what it was. He said, but you're right. He said they were peeing blood. Has
to be, because, I mean, they ain't got, when it's that cold, I mean, there ain't no water for them to drink.
I know when you get dehydrated, like your urine will get real
Change
dark.
color,
You'll start peeing blood. So, I mean, I don't know if that's the same situation.
That's a biologist question there. I've never seen it.
Because, they can't, everybody's like, well, they can eat the snow. Them deer, I mean, they can't eat enough snow to be hydrated. I mean, you think about it, a cup of snow ain't about a couple of tablespoons of water is all it is,
Yeah.
Well, what do you think it does? I was thinking, what does it do to the bucks? They're coming out of rut, and they're needing some to eat.
They're beat right now.
Do we lose some of them? I mean, is that enough cold 1 week of temperatures like that enough to kill some deer around here, or do they hunker down and survive?
So. I mean, it depends on how run down they are. When it gets that cold like it was last week and that long,
and we
probably did lose some deer.
50 degree to 5 degrees. I mean, it
stayed that way. Yeah, it stayed that way for a week. Well, we were still seeing, some little bucks chasing does around when it first started snowing. That first evening, I was out there, and I don't know, we were 2 or 3 little bucks. A little 8-point was chasing doe around and clearing the fields, and so they were still showing signs of, some late rut.
Yeah, Friday evening. I mean, I seen 3 bucks that they were chasing does.
They weren't interested in eating then. But the old big buck, when he come out, he was eating.
Yeah,
he wasn't.
That bigger buck that came out like right in front of me, and Melissa, that walked dead in front of the stand. He was strictly eating.
He wasn't worried.
He came with a doe, but he wasn't like trailing her or running her. But I'd see bucks run off one ridge down, run across the food plot, and run a doe back up the other hill and stuff like that while we were out there. But
so, do you think we started seeing some bucks pairing up again on camera?
They are. Yeah.
Is that because it's the rut's starting to taper out and they're back to normal, or is it because they're trying to find some meat? They don't care if they're by their other buck deer.
I think they're just on the food right now. If
they're
you
just
got
trying
food,
to eat.
If you got any kind of food, you're gonna have them in the fields. I hadn't been seeing as much during the morning though, man. The mornings have slowed down.
Yeah,
like the first couple mornings of that snow, you had just as much activity. It was all day long, but as the week went on, they quit moving in the mornings, and you'd only see them in the afternoons. And I guess, it warmed up a little bit in the afternoon, so maybe they were moving. But we did see some laid up. They were if you've got any kind of sage grass, it's on the right side of a hill where it didn't have as much snow.
Yeah,
that's where they were congregated. And I didn't notice this. Now, during all that time, it's like all the deer grouped up too.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because I was hunting food sources, but I don't know if they do it for warmth or, strength in numbers or what the deal is, but it just seemed like there was herds.
I mean, if it got that cold on me and I didn't have nowhere to lay, I'd be laying up next to you or Mark or somebody, just trying to get some body heat on me.
Being solo is a good way to.
I'd definitely be in the sun somewhere.
That's crazy to see, which, I guess if you hunt the northern states and you get this snow pretty much year round, you don't really, you get used to it. We're not used to it. So to see the deer in the snow, to, see sign in the snow, see where the deer are bedding, like it's like a little flag, like, hey, you walk by a bed in the snow, like it's no trouble to see because they done raked everything back to bare ground. And it's like all your deer sign is just, brought to life to where you can see it now.
Well, I'll tell you, riding around when that much snow's in the woods is a great time to learn your terrain because you can see so much more how the hills lay, where their trails are. Because, like you said, you could follow it. The tracks were evident.
Yeah.
Like where these deer are coming from, where they're going, how they're egressing fields, how they're going through these pieces of woods we have. I could see all of that just riding around checking cameras.
You think they're doing the same thing to us? Be like, there's some Can-Am.
Yeah, they probably are. They'll see them.
They understand.
They didn't seem to be scared. I don't know. There was, in fact, one of the days me and Michael hunted, we parked like right at Crossroads Stand. I was like, screw it. It's too cold to be trying to walk. We're going to drive all the way up to it. If they see us, they see us. Man, we had deer come out on top of it. I'm talking about could have gotten the back of it. Didn't phase them. I don't know if it's because they were so cold, wanting to eat, that they didn't care, but scent was not an issue.
So does scent change with it being froze like this? Because I know like we wouldn't hunt rabbit dogs when it was frost or froze because supposedly they can't smell and it's hard on them, but does that affect the deer too? Can they still smell your, footprints coming in the snow?
I don't know. It didn't.
If it refreezes, I wouldn't think so, you know. But the same way with like on those cold days, like for some reason on those really, really cold days, it seemed like you get away with a little more with the wind with a deer than you do on like a warm day. Which, I mean, I'm sure that's got to do with wind currents and different things like that. But I guess I don't know if you see it don't linger around as long or what. But
I don't know. But I couldn't find the old nose jammer stuff, Jamie. So I bought. It was some kind of caramel apple attractant stuff. And I gave it to Michael. We were squirting it all out the windows in the stand. You could tell when the deer smelled it because they would come over and check it out. They were not scared of that stuff, but it smelled.
Nose jammer definitely.
It smelled like something I wanted to eat. Man. It smelled like caramel pie or apple pie with some caramel sauce
Check
on
that
it.
out. Somebody got a little
yeah.
hot pie over there.
It's like, man, you got all this snow and all your vegetables is froze.
So did you, after this past week, again, this is different for us hunting in Mississippi. Did you ever think you would get froze and stuck in a deer blind or in a hunting stand?
No, but
You learned a little bit of something.
I'll tell you what, when you crank a buddy heater up and it starts melting all that stuff on top or it's coming down, it runs down the door. And all that stuff refroze at the bottom of the door, the track, and it just welded it. And so, Michael, he was sitting by the door. I said, all right, son, it's time to ease down or whatever. So he goes, I can't open the door, Dad. We're stuck. I was like, what do you mean we're stuck? I said, just open the door. So I get it and push on it. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Michael's going to kick walls down.
Oh, yeah. No, he's finna put the boot right through that door. But I had to put some oomph into it. It wasn't like it was just letting you out. So we come back the next morning, and I got him up at, 5:45, and we're out there, well before shooting time. Go up the stairs. The first one thing, we got
sketchy, ain't they?
Man, I'll tell you what.
We had put salt on the steps.
We had 3 or 4 inches of snow on top of ice on them steps. And if you didn't watch it going up them, you was fitting to be slipping and sliding, Jack, because it was slick. But we'd knock it all off the best we could and get up there, and you couldn't open the door. We done got in there, and it said you couldn't. I was banging on it, couldn't open it. So we had to go to another stand, and that's when we went to Plantation. Saw a bunch of deer. I'm talking about the first evening. Like the first evening it snowed. Were y'all hunting then?
Yeah, I was down here.
Yeah, Brian came down, and y'all both shot does that night. Well, it wasn't too bad that night. The temperature was dropping, sleet was just kind of starting. But overnight and that next morning's when it got to rolling. And we counted, 26 deer one evening out of Crossroads, 24 deer out of Plantation the next. They were everywhere. And it wasn't like you sit and waited. It was every 15 minutes you were seeing some deer.
It was weird, because when that stuff first came in, it came in a little north of us a lot faster than it did here. And it was really just sleeting and a little freezing rain and stuff like that. But the wind was cutting up pretty good. Those deer were so spooked by that the ones that I seen, they were so leery about coming out in the food plots and stuff. They kind of stayed back for a minute checking everything before they ever came out, and we'd been seeing them on camera, all week. But anyways, there was several bucks that came. There was 3 bucks that came through that evening. Dude, they act like they didn't know what to do. Like they didn't know where to go. They were like looking around scared of everything.
They was looking for the milk and bread.
Milk sandwiches.
Well, we saw the same thing that evening. I had Colin with me. We were going to try to record, and the deer that hit the field, man, they were skittish. I don't know what was up with them. I guess it's just like not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. I know they can tell when there's a weather change coming and stuff. That's just something wild animals know. But, I guess all the wind and just not being that common around here just kind of throwed them off. But they were definitely leery and didn't want to act right anyways. I was really wanting to look at that buck a lot more than I did, but he didn't stay very long. He was a big old freaking 6-point.
I hadn't seen him yet. We hadn't seen that other one you seen out of that same stand. There's been 2 or 3 different bucks that have showed up just out of the random there,
Probably should have went ahead and plugged that one early in the year, probably. But, oh well. And that's what we were talking about the other day, seeing that big wide 8-point you're trying to get Michael on. If I saw him right now this late in the year, I don't know that he done made it this far. I don't know that I could shoot him.
Yeah, he's got 7 more days.
Yeah, like he's almost made it, and
he just needs.
He better lay it up this weekend because Michael's coming back this weekend. He ain't had no luck this year though. He ain't shot anything. He's been selective. He could have shot some little bucks, but
he been pretty quiet.
He hasn't killed the doe yet. We killed. So Brian and Mikey killed doe last Sunday.
I should have
Dukers killed two
Friday.
doe Saturday. That's been I hadn't shot anything else. I've seen plenty, but I hadn't shot anything.
Oh, I had full intentions of killing one Friday with Melissa, but I don't know. She kind of had old Jamie Williams syndrome.
Didn't want to shoot one?
Everyone that came out said, "Oh, that's a little one. That's a little one. That's a little one." I was like, "Baby, they ain't all little now. Hold on now. We done seen 20 deer.
Yeah, they ain't all little. They ain't all micros.
So you're going to have to let me shoot something." She said, "Well, just let me put my fingers in my ears and close my eyes in." Oh, Lord.
Oh, Dukers put the headshot on one at South Trunk.
He didn't tear up no meat.
No. I mean, it broke it down.
I hope so.
Little one, he knocked the meat all off it. There wasn't no meat on it. He's wanting to shoot a third one. I was like, no, we better let that one go. There's plenty of them out there, though.
We ain't put a dent in them.
No, because the last podcast we did, we said we had Jay coming down, so we had a big cook here at the smokehouse.
He's 4 for 4 hunting with the Buck Junkies.
Yeah.
He has put the smackdown on.
You put the guy that hunt on him.
Man, we was in there eating Little Debbie's, cutting up. He might have been sipping on Fireball and
Might have been. Natty Lights.
We had a good time. It was laid back. We had a good evening that day. Of course, it was nice. It wasn't that cold that day.
No, because I had some stuff I had to do that afternoon, so y'all came down and went ahead and got in the stand.
He shot the first doe at 3:30. It was well before 4 o'clock. We shot it and
y'all rode the bikes over, didn't you?
Yeah, we rode both. He rode my wife's bike and I rode mine. We went straight to the stand and we hadn't been sitting there 20 minutes. And he asked me, he said, "Man, it was kind of hot. You pretty confident and we gonna see something?" I said, "Well, I ain't been skunked all year." I said, "We should see something." And it wasn't but a few minutes later, we had 2 does come out and he shot the biggest one of those 2. And then toward the evening, it was probably 5. We had, 12 or 13 come out, and you just take your pick, try to pick the biggest one. And I ended up shooting what I thought was the biggest one, which it was one right at 120. I think it was 118 is what it weighed or something like that. It was big body deer. And
it's a big doe.
Got them took care of with 350 ledge and don't play, puts them down.
Did y'all take one gun or?
We just took one gun.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how many doe does that rifle have on it now?
A lot. That gun there is put some
only
does
be
down.
a year old. Is it a year? Is it a year old? 2 years old? I think it's a year.
A little over a year.
Yeah,
2
a little
years
over a
old.
year.
I've hunted with it. This will be the 3rd year.
You sure?
I think so. Because I got it the first year
toward the end of the season. the first
just seeing
year.
if we kind of tested it, and then we kind of liked it, and you got one, and then everybody ended up getting one. So,
Yeah.
no, it's probably killed, over a dozen, I bet, between me and Jay, and that one. The first year we got is when we killed the big amount of does. When we killed 30 or whatever, how many does we had to kill that year. So we put them down that year with it. But it's been my go-to, been my favorite gun to hunt with.
It is a fun gun. I've turned mine into a varmint gun. Like I put the thermal on it and I ordered the suppressor for it, which I probably won't have it till fall next year. But
what'd you think of the thermal when we was out there trying to get it sighted in? That's trickier.
It's a little
than you
trickier.
think.
Yeah, they say it's got a one-shot 0, but
if you can see the target,
if you can see, that's the whole thing. You got to have the thermal target. They don't tell you that when you order the scope and watch all the videos. But you got to have a thermal. You need a thermal target.
We done some rigging. The first time I took a birthday cake candle and lit it and stuck it in the bullseye so you shoot at the flame. Then I caught the cardboard on fire, so that didn't work.
So what are you supposed to use for a?
They have a thermal target that they've got like a heat patch or something you can put
like
behind
those
it.
Hand warmers.
They tell you to shoot the hot hands if you can.
Yeah, but it don't.
But the heat radiates and
That seems like it's too.
Glows it all.
Yeah, that's too big of a. In my mind, I think it's too big a target to be.
We wouldn't have had any trouble if the sun would have been out that day, because Malcom ended up taking aluminum foil and wrapping a target with it and then punching holes, and wherever the aluminum foil wasn't, you could see. So that was in the sun. It was crystal clear. But when you get down here at the shooting range where we got it behind camp, it's in the shade. It was cloudy that day. It was cold. So you didn't really have good thermals coming off that foil. So
you can see the target to shoot it. You just can't tell where your hole is.
You can't see the dot.
To adjust it. And the way this one works is you move the reticle over to where your fixed reticle stays where you shot. The temporary
it's got 2
reticle
sets
moves.
of crosshairs in the scope.
Yeah. Temporary moves to where it went, and it makes auto adjustment.
It locks it in.
It does
Once
work.
we figured out where we were hitting.
Oh yeah, we hit a water bottle at 190 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I figure that's good enough to hit a coyote or a hog.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we need to fine tune it a little bit. We need to get out here on like a warm day and just shoot it one more time. But it's on. I mean, it's within a 2-inch group pretty easily.
I'm gonna try to get some of those thermal targets too, so we could have them because it's pretty fun to shoot.
It's tricky, but it's a lot of technology. That's what, if we rednecks have that kind of technology, what does a military have?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I don't see how a sniper can hide anymore.
Yeah, there ain't no hiding
if you got
anymore.
thermal, I mean, you got to have some kind of thermal suit on. That
we were talking about that. I was like, man, you see all these movies, these snipers on the side of a mountain, been sitting there 3 and 4 days hid. There ain't no hiding no more.
they can find you.
What are you? How you gonna hide?
They've probably got technology to anti-block it. Probably
something. Got some fancy dial soap you take a bath in or something. I don't know.
But so the drone recovery guy, they're using those for like search and rescue stuff now. It's not just so the technology works.
Well, when we were sighting that gun in, what was it? Was on the tree behind a bird or something? Like the bird was right there, and then like when he moved, you could still see the branch where it was like it wasn't hot, but it was warmer than the rest of the branch. Then you seen it disappear. Like it was. It's pretty freaking neat.
Thermal drones, I've seen him do a deer get up out of bed and you can see its foot tracks still radiating heat as it's walking away.
Well, we watched that squirrel nest that evening, with your binocular.
It was hot, yeah.
And it was a hole in the tree, and it looked like you had a microwave coming out of the tree where the squirrel was in there, I guess, resting or whatever he's doing, cooking supper. I don't know what he was doing, but it's crazy to see where heat is. And then, heck, I walked up here on that mouse house over in the leaves. The leaves were glowing. Well, we kicked the leaves, and there's 3 or 4 mice under them, So it's pretty neat, the technology that's there.
Thermals, I've only been around a little bit, but it's pretty daggone impressive.
So do you think you could use them for recovery, like the binoculars, where you'd see a blood trail, or you could find a deer? I mean, you could probably find it in the woods.
Yeah.
Technically, it depends on your state, but yeah.
Is it against the law to use those at night for recovery?
It depends on, so that's what drone deer recovery is fighting with now, different states. The wording, it depends on, are you still technically hunting the deer?
It depends on if you find the deer and it's still alive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's got to be dead.
So if you used it and found a live deer, you were hunting that deer. But if you used it and found a dead one, you were doing a recovery.
Yes and no. That's what he's having an argument with about the wording that each state has. So what's the difference? So you shoot a deer at late in the afternoon.
Yeah. Last light.
You wait till dark to go look for the deer. You walk out in the woods with a flashlight and you still got your deer rifle with you and you walk on the deer and still alive. Are you hunting at night? So, in your mind,
shoot that deer again.
I ain't gonna stay with him all night. Yeah, I ain't gonna let him suffer.
Once you pull that trigger, to me, the way the law needs to be is your goal is to recover that animal.
Yeah.
Regardless. It does not matter how you have to recover it, but if that deer has been hit, in my eyes, I'll take a ticket. I'm recovering that animal one way or another. Like it's no sense letting a deer sitting out there suffer or anything else. You do whatever you
going
have
on
to
somebody
do.
else's land without permission and everything.
I'm gonna ask permission now.
You
if it's on our land.
Yeah.
That's
but I'm gonna do everything in my power to get that deer.
That's his whole goal is to give justice to the animal. You done harvest it. Don't let it sit out there and rot and go to waste. Use technology. It's just like anything else. Anything can be abused. You can sit here and drink a beer and you can be okay. You can get in the car and drive. It's two different. You can abuse any situation, and that's what he's saying. He's not using it to abuse it, and 99.9% of people out there do have the drones. They're not using it to abuse it. But
the thing about it, like when me and Jay shot that deer, you come out there on a side by side because we was on the bikes. I said, hey, come on, we got 2 to get out, and you had the thermal with you, and I was like, let me just see if you can see the deer up there on the hill. You can see it plain as day. Yeah. It was no trouble.
And you wasn't doing nothing wrong.
No, you were just scanning to see if you could tell where it was.
See where it was at.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, like if, for instance, like you're saying, the deer may still be alive or not. Well, if you're scanning from, say, 100 yards away, you don't ever know that deer's there. So if you look at it and see that it's not moving, that deer's down. But if you look at it and it's still walking, then that's when you got to make the judgment call.
Leave it alone, yeah.
So, it's a gray area, but
when do you back out? Say if you make a shot, it ain't the best shot. Deer runs off. You do got a blood trail, but then
we're gonna piss the keyboard people off now again. You shouldn't make a bad shot ever.
Yeah, do y'all back out and let them lay, or do you?
If I know that deer's still on foot, you let it lay.
If you know it's getting up.
You don't want to bump that deer.
So because we've done this on some Michael deer. Like you track it and you can see where it laid down, but then it got up because we bumped it and then back out and let it lay all night.
The thing about...
Then you realize, I mean, you risk coyotes finding it or, something else.
It's a risk, Yeah. But most of the time when that happens, it's a gut shot deer. It's a deer that's hit far back and you either... Which luckily, the time we had to do that at Michael's, we had a good blood trail. Yeah. And it was plain as day. It was no trouble tracking. Heck, it snowed that night too. So
we quit once we found that he had laid down and got back up.
We backed out.
Yeah,
but we backed out because he was getting up and laying down, and avoiding us is what he was doing.
That's what's hard to reset your mind on when you see all the blood trail or the sign. You're like, man, I know if I just go another 50 yards, I'm gonna find it. And then you do end up bumping it out. I mean, I've done it myself. And
I mean, we done it last year to where Michael shot that doe.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best of shot, but we went in there, seen good blood. We went 30 yards in the woods, did not see the deer. Okay, we're going to back out, wait a couple hours. And the deer wasn't but 10 more yards. You know, like the deer was down.
And probably dead. You think it was dead then? Or was it?
I think it was. But we were just being precautionary because we knew the shot wasn't the best. Yeah. So, we try to play to the benefit of the doubt. Like, let's just back out, give it some time. It was cold. Nothing's going to go bad. We'll come out here in a couple hours and, get the deer. But that's realistic, real world hunting. Then you got these people that think you're never supposed to make a bad shot. What'd you do wrong? Well,
that ain't always the case.
That ain't always the case. The best shot in the world can still make a bad shot.
If you hunt enough, it ain't I don't care who you are. You're going to have an error or something not going to go as planned or whatever. But
you ain't hunted enough if you ain't made a bad shot.
So it happens, and it's happened to everybody. I mean, we've all done it,
There's just too many variables there. I mean, the deer could move. I mean, it depends on how far you're shooting. You
don't see that
250, 300, right? 250, 300 yards, and you fire at a deer that's standing there broadside looking at you. Well, if he takes a step or lunges or anything, you wasn't aiming there, but I mean that's just where it got him at. I mean,
so I've never thought about this. I watched a guy on YouTube. I think he's called Backfire. He does a lot of gun reviews, a lot of ammunition and stuff like that. He's pretty sharp. Anyways, he went out west on a big hunt, and it was probably 150, 200 yard shot. I can't remember. It was a pretty long shot, but he's like, I got on the animal, and he says, I have my process of where, safety's off. I'm on the shoulder. I go through my whole process of pulling that trigger. It ain't just reach up there and pull the trigger. You get comfortable, you take your breaths, you squeeze the trigger. And he's like, in my mind, I'd already started the trigger pulling process to where I'm pulling the trigger. He says, right before I knew my gun goes off, I'd already committed to pulling. The deer takes one step, and that's out of your control. You're going through your process of doing what you normally do to make sure you make an accurate shot. But he's used to shooting, he said in the video, he's used to shooting, that was his process of shooting a target that don't move. And he said, I realized I have to change that up. Like, I have to adjust that when I'm hunting, that animal may take a step. And that step in a half second might be you shooting it behind the shoulder, you shooting it in the guts.
Yep.
It doesn't take much. And in your mind, when you commence to pull that trigger, unless you're just yanking it and not really paying attention, there's a few seconds there of, taking your breath and squeezing that trigger slow that deer can move, and you don't, before you realize that the deer's already moved and you pulled the trigger.
Especially bow hunters. I mean,
that's a perfect thing. You see how many times bow hunters make a bad shot. It wasn't because that was
they were on the deer, but the deer moved.
Yeah, the deer reacted to the shot or, took another step, and you see that all the time. I mean, it happens.
Well, they call it ducking the arrow. They'll hear that noise when that arrow gets there.
Yeah, they ain't too much going to duck a rifle, but there's variables that, depending on how far, and like Mark said, there may be a little twig or a piece of grass or something, or a stick sticking up out there that's right, something that you may clip that may knock the bullet off, or it may just be you altogether.
I mean, the fever get on you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're quivering, and
you pull a little bit left or pull a little early or pull. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do.
One of the best examples I can think of is I was hunting with Daddy when I was a kid. We was hunting old box stand down the road from the house, and he shot I think it was 8-point he killed Thanksgiving morning. He shot
it.
And it was probably 300, 320 yards. It's a pretty long shot, and he hit the deer smack dab behind the shoulder. But the deer took a step, and all he did is hit the meat in the armpit. I mean, it was a perfect – if you would have stood the deer upright, it looked like a perfect shot. But the way the deer stepped, all it did is clipped a little fat meat. And, heck, that deer ran, miles because we tracked it from down there.
Piece of property.
Yeah,
Didn't kill it.
No, I ended up
He
killing
wound
it.
up killing it, but that shot didn't kill it.
Your lab.
Yeah, I had my black lab, and he started acting funny. Daddy looked up, and it was a little ditch, and it was across the ditch, and he shot and killed it.
But he hit the deer perfect.
Yeah.
But it's the way the deer stepped that you really didn't hit any vitals. So, I mean, he probably could have been a little bit higher, but he didn't make a bad shot. You know, it was just one of them things that's out of your control.
You just told us about Jody before. What he shoot one? Tell us that
got in
story.
trouble enough with the Morgans talking about him on the podcast.
Oh.
You're going to get me in trouble again. I got in trouble by John Lawson that he ain't 7. He is 6.
Yeah.
And you better get his age right.
Oh, okay.
And I may have got it wrong again. I might get in trouble again. He might be something else. But no, Jody went down there and he was wanting to get 2 does, and he was hunting with his sons, 350 Legend, because we got them fired up about the 350 Legends too. And he said he was going to try to kill him 2 does, and he said doe walked out, and he said he shot and it dropped. You know, it didn't take another step. He said, heck yeah. So he's like, I can get one more, you know. So another
Freezer's full.
Freezer's full. I'm good to go. You know, another doe walked out, and he said all he had was a headshot. And he's like, man, he said, it wasn't about 50 yards. He said, shoot it. You know, the gun's on. He shot, and the deer flew. Never seen the deer again. It was gone. Not a drop of blood, nothing. And the next morning, he went back hunting, and doe come out, and he shot, and it dropped in her tracks, and went down there and looked. And it was just barely clipped her ear right there, you know. I mean,
Pierced her ear.
yeah, and that's crazy though. You'd think a deer, all right, I done got shot at in this little patch of woods. I ain't going back. Nope, she come right back the next morning.
Must have been something good to eat there.
Might have been. But
It happens though, and I mean them juggers are tough too, man.
yeah,
They are tough. They can a lot of them tote a bullet
Oh,
further than you think they could.
One of the toughest animals I know of.
and that's like another thing. He said the 2 does he shot, he said he hit both of them within an inch or 2 of each other. And he said the one that he hit in the shoulder, of course, you know what happens. They're lights out, you know, they're done. He said the second one, he said he might have hit just 2 inches further back, and she ran 20 yards. So you think about that for a minute. Like, we always talk about doing high shoulder shots because I want them to drop, you know.
Yeah,
But you wouldn't think that little bit of movement and placement of a bullet would make that big a difference on that animal dropping in its track or not. You know, it's that critical. But if you shoot them behind the shoulder, you're going to find them, you know.
yeah, you're gonna blow through something important.
Yeah.
You should. I've learned to shoot them high shoulder just to break them down.
Well, I done quit now that you done cooked them freaking
That's
shoulder
what I was
tacos.
going to say. Once you figure out how to
them shoulders pretty dang
smoke
good.
that whole shoulder, it ain't bad. You ain't got to throw them things away or shoot them in them. If you don't mind tracking one a little bit.
And still, I mean, they ain't going to go far. You shoot them, you double lung them, they might go 20 or 30 yards, and that's going to be it.
Well, what's the furthest you've had one run with the 350?
Maybe 40 yards.
40 yards.
And it was a far back shot. I mean, it was not the gun's fault. It was back in the ribs a good ways. But
I don't know if I've had one take a step with it. If the ones you shot ran?
Yeah, I think every one of them's ran that I shot, but they don't go far.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it ain't no trouble to trail them. I mean,
the doe I shot the other day, she ran about 40 yards. She ran out of the food plot and fell in the woods about 20 yards.
It's a deadly round. I know that.
Which I've had them run seen them run with a 300 mag. I've seen them run with my 28 nozzler. I've shot one and it run 20 or 30 yards, and it's just, you know, it's not guaranteed every time. You can do all you can in your favor and your part, but it still ain't guaranteed.
Mikey and I got to do something fun here. When was that? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Before. Yeah, it was before. That was after our group cooking, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I
think so.
I think it was. Anyway, we went over to Alabama to, do you remember the name of that place?
Willow Oak Lodge.
Willow Oak Lodge. And this was
owned by Timothy Horton.
Yeah.
Tim Horton.
Timmy Horton.
Bass
He's got a fishing show on Pursuit.
I thought that was a furniture place.
Timmy Horton Outdoors.
Furniture or something.
Yeah. But he owns a preserve over there where they do deer, turkey, quail, pheasant,
and bass fishing.
Yeah, in Alabama, it's only like 2.5 hours from us.
Yeah, it's not far. It's he's got a preserve, which is a 900-acre high fence that he keeps all of his breeding deer, the great big northern deer that he's got, and they're completely different than ours. And then outside of the fence, they have 1,400 acres right there close by it. This
free range
deer. And then he had a 1,400 acre lease that him and Colin and some other guys are in down the street.
Yeah, we didn't get to hunt in the high fence.
So when
They told us what the does were like not worth $9,000. I was scared to drive through there.
Yeah, those were what, $9,000.
Yeah, he said some of them cost $9,000. Can you imagine paying that for a deer?
So we pull up to this place, not knowing what to expect, and anyways, Colin had called me and told me that he had made it to the cabin we were staying in. And he said, "Here's the gate code to get in." So we pull off this highway, 4-lane highway, and pull up to this gate, which looks like Jurassic Park. It's a big
old iron gate. Look like it keeps some Tyrannosauruses in. Yeah,
it's high wood, post up on the side. I mean, it goes way up. Anyways, you got to go through this one gate, put the code in, go through the gate, and then you get trapped in between this wood alley.
Like a chute. Yeah,
and you got to punch code or push the button to go through the other side, and then you go on through the other side. And me and Malcom start in this thing. We're easing up through there, and the first sign that we come to is the Willow Oak Lodge sign, and then we make this little curve, and there's another sign that says "Drive slow, 200-inch deer crossing."
Yeah.
And we were like, whatever. And we start up through there, and there's just freaking deer just standing on the side of the road, crossing the road.
Just like Cades Cove. They just come up and look at you.
Then we get back in there on these gravel roads, we start passing deer stands. I got to stop and call Colin because I'm like, man, I think we made a wrong turn, dude. We done passed like 3 deer stands.
Folks could be hunting out here, yeah.
I'm worried we're going to ride up on somebody and paid, $20,000 a hunt in here and just blow the hunt.
We're driving right by them.
We're going to owe them some money. But anyways, he was like, no, you're in the right spot. So the
keep on coming.
You stay inside the preserve with the deer. Because when we pulled up, there was 2 pretty nice bucks standing in the front yard right off the steps.
At the cabin.
I've
never seen nothing like it. It was like being in a petting zoo.
And I got a video when we pulled in, parked at the carport. There's does standing in the flower bed eating bushes in the right there at the house. I mean, that was something else. I never experienced nothing like that.
Yeah, I hadn't either. Being that close to some big deer, which I didn't see. I didn't see any like monsters. We saw a bunch of young bucks.
It was at the end of their hunting season.
Yeah.
When we were over there. So I think
that's the thing. Those hunts start at like $5,000 if you get to go. I mean, that's pretty high.
Yeah, $5,000. I don't know how they tally up the points after you go over.
I think it's like $1,000 every few inches or something like. It's by the inch when you get up there. But we went and hunted some free range ones, except I didn't see one to. I mean, I saw 1 buck. I think
we seen. Yeah,
saw a bunch of doe.
Bucks. We never did get skunked. I mean, we seen deer the whole time. Yeah. It was bad. I mean, it was trying to rain and wind was coming, out of the southeast, and none of it. Some of the stands were set up for that. It was warm. It was unconditionally warm for that time of the year over there, especially being in those foothills of the mountains and stuff. But we got to meet Tim Horton.
He's super cool.
Super cool guy.
Got an awesome lodge over there.
What was that lodge? 8,500 square feet?
Something like that. It was huge.
It's monstrous.
It's almost as big as a hunting house.
Yeah. You can put 4 or 5 of them in it. Oh, it had a full bar downstairs.
The accommodations over there was unreal. I mean, if you go over and hunt, I mean, you get kind of like a master bedroom with a master bath and all that stuff. And, the actual lodge itself, where I guess they kind of commute for dinner and stuff like that, is, I don't know. I had never seen nothing like that.
No, they use it for weddings and stuff too. They had a place out there where you get married pretty much on a mountain. It felt like you just overlook it, and it's overlooking like this valley of 3 different mountains in the far distance. It was gorgeous. Different terrain, than I didn't even know Alabama looked like that.
Yeah, I was expecting just pine trees.
Yeah, it'd be like middle Mississippi, just some pine.
Flat. But
there was a lot of pine there because I mean, you would have thought it was like hill country Texas with the rocks, because everything's rocks. There wouldn't, you didn't see much red dirt or anything. And then and there was pines. It'd be like having hill country pines. But it was pretty cool.
So what do you think? You talk about Cades Cove.
I've never been there.
Why in the world have I seen more monster deer off Cades Cove this year? Like people posting pictures and stuff. Then I've never seen people share pictures of these freaking monster deer they got up there. And all of a sudden this year it's like It's ridiculous.
Every time I've been, I've seen deer like that.
Well,
They're always
but
like
I've never
that up
seen
there?
big deer like that up there.
Every time I've gone, I've seen big ones.
So what is that place? Is it just like a national park?
Yeah.
It's protected.
National park.
Yeah.
Like there's no hunting there.
But that'd be, you pay good money if you wanted to.
Well, what do they have to do some kind of hunting or taking some of those animals
I
out
don't
or
think
something?
they do
How
up there
do
at
they
all.
just let them?
Not that I know
They
of.
just let them live their life.
Yeah.
And then they don't get overpopulated or anything.
They've got to. There's no way that.
I mean, it's not fenced in, so it ain't like
it's
they're.
just open forest, but
Just on a mountain, right?
I mean, I would love to have the property adjacent to it, but
that's what I
Oh,
say.
you know
though,
them
like,
deer don't leave that. That's like
That
the deer
size of
bother.
deer.
They ain't leaving.
they have to be feeding them somehow.
That's
they
what I
got
was
food,
thinking.
they got agricultural and food plots and stuff out there, but I mean,
I'm
just
saying some of them deer though, they getting some protein.
Oh, you think they
somewhere.
protein
they
supplement
know-
feeding or something?
no different than Seek One killing a 200-inch deer in the city limits, and it's just genetics and survival. I mean,
I will say this, like that. So just talk about a deer from around here. I ran into a neighbor the other day at Walmart, and he was talking about that big deer that got killed right across from us. And he said that deer last year was a 150-inch deer. They had pictures of it, and it put on 22.5 inches in 1 year.
They had the sheds too, I think.
I think they did find the sheds.
Because that's how they got the actual measurements of what the deer scored last year.
Which is crazy. I wouldn't think a deer in our area with not,
hill country.
Yeah.
No, yes, there's
not a lot of
slants.
agriculture around for that deer to eat. I mean, how could it put on that much? But it just shows you that they can. And well, at the place we were at, they told us that a deer will go, like we were seeing these deers that would have been spikes, and they were little scraggly 4 points and 6 points, little jacked up racks. And he said the next year that deer's 2.5 years old, because of the protein and the feed they keep them on, that'll be a 150-inch deer in a 2.5. It'll put on that much.
So that's the same thing that Bollage I watched on the podcast talking about back to the cull buck thing. He said they have spikes and 4 points that in most people's mind, like that deer never be nothing. And it ends up being a 200-inch deer, 180-inch deer, but it's genetics and food source.
Food. What do you think is the most important thing? I mean, you think all of them have pretty much the genes to do it, but it's if they get the right nutrition.
I think it's all nutrition. I don't think genetics have that big a, to me, like, how do you know that deer's got good genetics?
You don't. I mean,
like, how do you know?
Free range, you don't know.
Well, I'm saying even at a farm, like they started with
at farm, they do know.
Well, no, they don't. There's no way.
Oh.
The first time they ever had it, yeah, they have established genetics now. But I'm saying, all right, we're going to open up a farm. We're going to start off with this spike. They never started. Whoever started the genetics didn't have genetics to start with. You see what I'm saying? Like at some point,
I think what they do. I mean, the big thing they do is why those does are so expensive.
Yeah,
because the does are throwing those bucks, and if they end up having a couple of their spikes turn into these world class bucks, okay, that doe's got the genetics, so that's the one they really spend the money on.
Heavily monitored.
But how much is that from that doe, and how much is it? Hey, we're eating freaking 10 tons of protein. every year,
yeah.
It's both.
A lot. I think a lot of it is the genetics versus food source.
I think food source makes a big difference.
I mean, as far as a factor that we can control is probably the biggest, because you can do something about it. You can improve what woods and stuff you have by opening it up some and letting natural browse grow, or you could plant year-round plots.
I think too,
there's all, those are the biggest factors.
The genetics I see playing a bigger part in the health of the animal, and then I think the protein and what you get it. I mean, you look at how many scrawny folks go to the gym and start shooting up steroids, they get huge. It's the same thing. Like, they're making them get big,
There's your product, deer steroids.
Yeah. I guarantee it's out there.
Probably
It's gotta be.
Eugenics for deer.
And they give it to horses and stuff. Racehorses.
Racehorse. You want to give some racehorse steroid to some deer?
Give it to
That's
our
what it
deer.
is, kind of.
Is that illegal?
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
You can do that there in the off
I think
season.
it's
Get
just
some
feeding
dart
them.
guns.
I don't know about holding them down, shooting them up.
You got to hold them. You just hunt them in the summer. You're just medicating them.
So that's what
I
I
haven't
always.
seen the laws on medicating deer. Is there?
You see these farm deer that are like crazy non-typical.
Yeah.
Is that genetics causes that, or is that?
That's enhancements.
It's almost like it's almost
like mutation. I don't like the way some of it looks.
I mean, some of it
I like
to
the
the-
typical one. I mean, you look at some of them, they're just like
Crazy,
straight up
crazy,
freaks.
Yeah. No,
They had some deer like that there. It's
Yeah,
like,
they had
it can't
something
be
like that.
natural. But I don't know What makes it? Is it the nutrition that's making it do that? Is it those deer they've got that gene pool to where it just throws that?
It's something.
Because the deer that we were seeing were different deer.
deer.
Yeah, they were different breed. I mean,
they looked like white tails, but you could tell facial features and like they had a lot longer hair on them and stuff.
Oh, they were bristly looking. I mean, it was like a wire hair, almost like you see them wire hair pointers. How that hair looks.
But you could tell the difference from them to the ones we were hunting in the free range. It was, it was totally different looking. Not totally different looking, but you could tell the difference in them.
Or those deer have, a natural free range deer it's kind of sleek looking.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't look. They don't have the same muscle structure.
Like almost a tannish brown.
Yeah.
Well, you take old Ricky for instance. If you'd to pump him up with protein, he'd be a stud. His genetics are terrible.
I'm worried about old Ricky.
I don't know if Ricky's still.
We ain't seen him in a month.
Been laying low.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody got old Ricky or Coyote's got him or something.
Man, I hope not.
But I hadn't seen a picture of him in a long time.
Which we moved the cameras from one end where he normally stays. We're on the opposite end of the field now. So
last couple of years we ran a lot more cameras than we ran this year too. So
we're gonna find a shed. I'm gonna go back to his little honey hole. We're gonna find a shed this year.
See if he's been living there.
Oh, he's there. Hopefully. I hope he ain't in a deep freeze somewhere.
Yeah, I'm thinking
he
somebody
might be in a deep freeze.
I'm thinking somebody got him. We just ain't heard about it.
I'd have to spend the money and at least skull mount him if I killed him.
Oh yeah, he's cool. Something. Oh, Ricky.
That'd be one of them worst mount. You see them pictures of the worst
his
mounts.
eyes bug all out.
His eyes turn
If you
crazy.
mounted him, a
coming
good
off.
taxidermist would look bad.
Yeah, for real.
You don't say how good a taxidermist you are, Mount Ricky.
He didn't just get his own foot mounted.
Hey, somebody
body
did
mount with
the nub hanging up there.
in memory of Ricky. If our neighbor got him, we'll take a hoof off a doe and do in memory of.
We could probably do one of those. Have y'all seen those taxidermy arts? I keep seeing them on Facebook. It's where they can take, like, you give them all the measurements of one of your mounts.
Oh, and they draw.
And they can put it on a scene, like on a canvas or something. You could do that with Ricky.
Take one of the game.
Yeah, leave some shirts made up.
Free Ricky.
I miss old Ricky.
Where's Ricky? I'm sure his gene pool's still around.
Yeah.
They all in the short bus.
Yeah, they all short. Poor Ricky.
But yeah, we're still talking about that same thing with genetics and protein and stuff. Listening to Tim and Colin talk about all the stuff that they give those deer, those things are like, they get everything that your dog at the house gets. They get dewormer and they get a lot of different things that they give them. So they are maximizing those deer inside that fence, where we necessarily can't do that in the wild.
You think they just do that with their breeders, or they do it with? Because there's no way they could do it with every single deer in there.
I mean, if they,
but you talk about the ones that
they probably just put it out there for them. I mean, because they probably have. I've seen some.
Oh, you talking about? So it's not actually like giving them medicine. It's just like in a bucket or something.
Running through there like cattle, giving them shots.
Yeah,
but they got some kind of pellet or something that they put in, or
might have
something they mix in with their feed. To be able to keep the worms down on them and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, because you think if you lose one of those,
yeah.
I mean, you're doing that for profit. That ain't for.
That's right.
Just for fun. So you lose a $10,000 deer, or you don't know what, especially a doe, because she could have had multiple deer.
Yep.
That's
you
probably
didn't just
more.
lose $10,000. If she spit a buck every year for 7 years, you lost at least $70,000.
That was my biggest thing. Like, so if y'all had one of these places that was a high fence and you were selling hunts, would you want people being able just to drive through there where your deer were? Because, I mean, you got to think, how many vehicles could hit one? Like, they're having weddings up there. You got to drive through the place.
Oh, drunk guy.
Come back from a wedding. Yeah.
Or come down there. He's got a pistol in the truck, pop one on the way out. No, I wouldn't want him driving through my junk.
I wouldn't either. But they do.
Maybe that's part of it.
We need to make a trip.
There's probably cameras there. They probably got me and Mikey spotlighting all the deer.
Oh, yeah. They got me and you.
We riding around looking, filming them.
Swinging wide in the curves. Trying to
shine them. What's up there? Oh, the crazy thing about that place, so we'd have to leave every morning to go hunt. Like, we'd have to leave the preserve, drive 30 minutes. Well, we'd come back, and then all the deer would, like, it'd be lunchtime or whatever. They were all up there it's like they knew when to be at the road. And then when you go back, like at night, they'd be gone. You didn't see them. I don't know where they went at night because we'd drive back and go to the store or something. And they wouldn't even be out there. But it's like during the day, all them deer were trained to come out. I guess they know people feed them or something.
Yeah, they probably, yeah.
We need to make a Buck Junkies Cades Cove trip.
That'd be a good one to do, really, because I've never been.
Give everybody
You never been to Cades Cove?
No, I've never been. I've never been to Gatlinburg or any of that area of Tennessee.
Man,
Each of us get a camera, and we stagger the times we go through it, and whoever gets the picture of the biggest bucks, just like you shot it, you get that trophy then.
I bet there's a lot of people up there doing that photography.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll be people set out with, I'm talking about cameras, got a lens from me to you, and they'll sit on the side of on the side of the road or side of the hill. We can look back there, and they'll turkey, deer, bear, whatever. I mean,
do they have elk in that preserve?
No, I've never seen that. I've
seen turkey. I've never seen a bear.
I've seen bear twice.
I've seen an elk coming out of that, not out of Cades Cove, but out of the main park.
Yeah.
Right there, almost in
because you can get
city limits of town.
Yeah, me and Michael Lehman went to North Carolina to that.
That's up at Cherokee, North Carolina.
I don't know where we was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was monster elk out there. But that's what it was with us.
But y'all are going this spring, ain't you? Or
yeah, we're going up that way for the first time. Spring break. Is it spring?
Be good.
No, it's Easter. We're going.
No, Cades Cove's neat.
I plan to drive through there. I want to.
We went up there. Last time we went, it was New Year's, and it actually snowed that morning. And it wasn't until about halfway we got through before we really started seeing animals. And shoot, once we started seeing them.
Yeah, don't go with a quarter tank of fuel or nothing in your truck. You want
to fill up before you go.
How long a ride, like going
into the place? I've been 5 or 6 hours to get through it, and I've been through it in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Is it because of traffic?
Traffic and what you're seeing. If you get out.
Like they're talking about taking pictures, and it'll stop.
You pull up on a 200-inch deer, you're going to stay there and look at him for a minute.
Or you can just drive down the road and pull over and jump out, start pointing, and then everybody pulls up there and you drive off. Ain't nothing out there. You can do that.
They'll sit there and let you get.
Yeah, I think you see something. No, I want to do the Alabama trip. It's a deer farm in Alabama I'd love to go to and see the genetics on it.
Where is it? Do you know what part of Alabama it is?
I looked at it. Golly, I can't think where it's at now. But it was about 3.5, 4 hours from here. And
is it like a research thing?
No, it's a deer farm. Well, that's what they raise deer, and then they'll sell them off to breeders and stuff like that. It's pretty daggum impressive.
I did not realize how big a business that is.
It's crazy.
The money involved in it.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, there's some does going for $80,000 a doe, and it's crazy.
Well, Tim's breeder buck, what was he, 370 inches?
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, I didn't ever get to see him.
But we didn't get to see him. We had to leave in a hurry because it was fixing to get nasty. But we were wanting to go up there and look at him and see him. I guess I don't know if they let him out every now and then and let him breed, or if they bring does up there to him, or how they do that.
They AI. I mean, most of them are AI'd, and then he's the old cleanup buck. If they don't take, they'll turn them. That's how they do it. I asked him that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he said most of the time they're
artificial.
Yeah, but then they have them to make sure.
I wonder if they're trying. They got to be tranking them or something, or they.
I don't know.
Hold still. I mean, those things were up there around the cabin and stuff, but you couldn't walk out there and pet it.
You couldn't put a deer in a catch pit, I wouldn't think, without putting it to sleep. It ain't like a cow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious.
I would love to see that whole process, honestly. I mean, I want to go back over there and just watch, I don't know, work for a few days, help them do stuff.
See what life's like on deer farm. There you go.
What all like the barbecue YouTube videos, 24 hours on deer farm.
Yeah, 24 hours on deer farm.
They go work the restaurants.
I mean, just imagine having to check the fence. You got to constantly do that.
Yeah, because we were supposed to do that afternoon.
Yeah.
He was going to ride and check the fence, but we, like I said, we had to run out of there.
We do that a lot here. We always check the fence. Yeah, fence checking. Who would have thought deer hunting and all that goes into it? Some of it ain't your normal deer hunting, but
no,
some of it to me is what getting too commercialized.
Yeah, I can
to a certain extent. I mean, just like us. Well, I mean, I don't consider myself being that old, but when I was a kid, I could get in 4-wheeler or truck and go anywhere and hunt. And now, you can't. It's government land, or you're spending money. It's not no free hunting.
What brought this up? When we rode Friday over to Arkansas, we rode over Searcy. and probably within 10 miles, we counted 70 something duck blinds.
Shit, at least.
I mean, it was just everywhere.
Really?
I just go.
So I'm like, you wonder why duck hunting, especially in our area right now, is getting so bad. It's because they can go wherever they want. It's not like it's 10 holes in Tunica. It's freaking 10,000 holes in Tunica. You know.
Yeah, you got farmers and landowners making more money off a duck pit than they did the crop for the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think the same thing is, I think deer hunting's a little bit delayed as far as that happening, but I think in 10 years from now, you ain't
unless you're spending money to
nowhere to hunt. I mean, me and Mikey's talked about this 10 years ago. Like, we were lucky when I grew up. Like Jamie said, we had
300 something acres down the
we wanted
road
to go.
that we could go to.
Yeah, we had 2 properties that were over 300 acres, or right at 300 acres. And then we had several other places that were, 100, 200
we had
acres, something
spots.
we had places to go.
It was everywhere. And now
It's either developed or
we ain't got a
sold
single
off.
place around the house we hunt other than my backyard or Mikey's backyard, Jamie's backyard. That's it. Like, it ain't like we can just get on the floor, run down the road and climb a tree, And when I was a kid, we could. And now it's like, duck hunting's got big. So like all that behind the house, they don't deer hunt because they flood it for duck hunting. And I'm not saying duck hunting's a problem with deer hunting, but I'm just saying, like, all the sport of hunting itself is growing so fast that it's outgrowing the places you actually have to go. And then you have big money guys come in and buy up all the property that's for their hunting. And, it takes a toll.
So it drives the price of land up to where the average person can't afford some. Yeah.
that's what it was. I can't remember Facebook or TikTok this morning. I seen the deal Michael Waddell posted. He's like, people need to get out of I'm not exact words he said, but get out of the trophy deer mindset. Get out there.
That's easy
enjoy
for somebody to say when they got trophy deers all over.
Well, I mean, he said, that's what he says.
I had never been in the trophy deer mindset. I'm in just the deer mindset.
Yeah, I mean, you got it's like when we was growing up kids, you killed a 6-point, you bragged about it. Now, if you do that, like, man, what'd you shoot that little deer for? And I don't know. To me, it's taking the fun away from your kids, or even you get out and hunt, you feel the pressure that you got a certain standard you got to meet. And I'm not saying this is everywhere, but it's getting like.
I think there's places that's taking place, but also like us, like, I don't think we enjoy the whole management side of it just as much as we do the hunting side. And I think that's part of, like, I don't know, that's the double-edged sword there. Like, that's part of it. Like, just like talking about that 8-point over there, like, I'm to the point now where I could see him, if we hunted this afternoon and he walked out 10 yards, I don't even think I'd pick my gun up. Like, now back in November, I probably would have smoked him, but he's done made it this year. Like, I want to see what he's going to be next year.
But it's not in the same thing though, is like Michael or anybody else's kid or friend come down and they shot it.
I wouldn't be tore up about it.
Yeah, I mean,
thrilled to death. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way I am too. If I get a chance to, I mean, I've killed some bucks, but I'd rather kill a mature one now than I had just kill a buck.
Yeah.
Because if it's kill a deer, I'm gonna kill a doe. I love killing doe. I mean, that's what I want to eat anyway. I don't want to eat those bucks. So if it's not a mature buck, why kill it?
Yeah.
And let somebody else kill it that ain't never, that hadn't
But
killed that many.
Sense, none of us sitting in this room is going to be like, see the old guy at the gas station now with this little 4-point. We can be like, heck yeah.
Heck yeah, that's right.
Up,
Yeah, yeah.
We're not going to be like, well, what's that idiot doing, So, I mean, I could see that, but I definitely think Jamie's right. Like, it's hunting's becoming, with social media and everybody, and you got all this exposure, hunting's blowing up right now. Like, it don't matter if it's deer, rabbit, squirrel, turkey, whatever. It's growing.
Who would have thought squirrel hunting was getting as popular as it was? I mean, I see a ton of it, people talking about it.
I didn't really realize it until we went to the island last year, and them guys are like,
I was turned on. I just
they're
thought it was some kids did,
squirrel hunters.
Well, I think so many people have focused so much on ducks and deer and turkey, though,
trying to
the big
find
three.
something else to get away.
Yeah, I mean, it's some this was something that I always did with Will. If we were deer hunting and he hadn't killed a deer by December the 1st, we broke off and went squirrel hunting. We just stopped deer hunting for 1 weekend. So I would take him a couple times. It kind of got to smell a little gunpowder and do a little shooting and have a little fun and stop just sitting in a stand all the time. Mm-hmm. And then we were ready to go back deer hunting again. And I think people are starting to do that now.
We're still gonna we got another
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I love squirrel hunting. I love rabbit hunting, turkey hunting, all that stuff. But the squirrel and the rabbits it's a lot of fun.
Oh, rabbits, definitely. That's probably my favorite thing.
Well, see, we've seen that grow since we first got dogs. When we first got the first set of dogs, I guess, Skeeter and Snow when we got them for Christmas.
That would have been
2000,
2001.
somewhere around
So
there.
wasn't nobody rabbit hunting then. Like we were one of the, it was a handful of people in DeSoto County had dogs, and we could rabbit hunt anywhere. And now everybody and their mama's got rabbit dogs, like everybody. And so I mean, you're only
Is it
talking,
harder to find places to rabbit hunt too, or
definitely.
people still
it
let
goes
you
in
do
the
that?
same
now.
sense. People don't want you in there because of deer or duck, and then you have the ones that, well, I don't want you in there rabbit hunting because you might mess my turkey season up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you got good dogs, you ain't hurt nothing.
But it's
Most of the time,
What if
you
you
go
ain't
with
got
somebody that had them. You find places to go like somebody that's got a lot of property, and then you show up and they got a 20-man entourage with them. And it's like,
you can't do that
crap.
neither. You got to respect the landowner. And
oh, that and the dog owner, you know. There's been plenty of times where daddy and them's turned the hunt down because he's like, well, you can't bring nobody but you and your dogs. You can't bring your son-in-laws, your buddies, your sons, whatever. And daddy's like, no, my dogs, if they can't go, my dogs ain't going, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of times your landowner, no disrespect to anybody, but your landowner thinks, well, I got the land. What are you going to do? Like, we're going to hunt under my terms. Well, no, not necessarily. You know, these are our dogs. So
Yeah.
you will see a couple people. I'm on a couple of beagle and rabbit hunting things on Facebook, and it is people, they post on it, hey, deer season wrapping up. I got land, you got dogs. You can, it's people in Mississippi, you can work a deal out and go hunt. Use your dogs and their property, and it works out pretty good too. But
rabbit hunting to me is it's fun hunting, but it's a fun fellowship too. Like that's more of it. Cause I mean,
It's kind of like dove season.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you're going to get together, have a good time.
oh yeah, you're gonna definitely laugh at somebody.
yeah, we've had
missing.
some good stories now. You see some junk. So
I mean, I had a rabbit come up to me the other day from here to your foot, and I sat there and watched it in briars, but I didn't want to shoot it that close.
because they had a little one with it coming up behind it.
No.
And,
It was a button head.
yeah. And I said, well, the dog's gonna catch up to the rabbit when it breaks out and run. I missed that thing 2 times when it broke out and run. I should have shot it when I was sitting close.
You go rabbit hunt with Willie Taylor,
Yeah.
and just it don't matter what happens. If he shoots at a rabbit or sees a rabbit, you finna see the full reenactment to the T. I mean, if he had to get down on his hands and knees, he's finna get down on his hands and knees and show you what he did. You know, you finna see the full reenactment.
How'd that rabbit hunt go y'all went on?
We had a dang good time. The guys we with had some really, really good dogs, and we was in some good rabbits too. So we ended up, and I like what they did. We could have hunted all day, and probably, in all honesty, I bet we'd have killed 50 to 60 rabbits. And we had 12 dogs. I don't remember how many hunters it was. And he said, once we get to 20 rabbits, we're shutting it off.
Just so you don't kill all your rabbits.
Yeah, it's just no sense going and killing
It
out.
ain't hard. Like if you get on rabbits like that, it ain't hard to put.
No, it's several times we jumped one rabbit, and like I said, running 12 dogs, and you get out there and we'd have 2 to 3 races going at one time. So like one time I killed a rabbit and the guy just right over, dog was running another rabbit by him. But yeah, and we started at probably 9-ish, 9:30 and stopped and ate lunch for 30 minutes. And then 1 o'clock, heck, we was 20, we was out. And like I said, we wasn't, I guarantee we could have killed another 20 easy. I had a dang good time, real good time.
I've never seen a single place like Alligator, Mississippi when it come to rabbit hunting. That is
Is that one of your places that you found?
Matter of fact, I was talking to the guy over there, and he said that's where some of his dogs, when he first got them, that's where he was hunting, is between Alligator and, I guess, Cleveland, I guess.
the first
What
time.
was so special about it?
The first time we went, we dumped the dogs out, and we had killed, I don't know, 10 or 12, and I was still sitting at the truck. Like we ain't even left the parking
Didn't go
spot.
far from the truck. We hunted just a little piece of the property.
And I mean,
CRP and cover, that's what it was.
and it's the only cover for, you know how the Delta is. for miles.
Yeah.
So every rabbit in that county was in that patch of woods we was in, or that CRP, and you got to where if the
So
rabbit,
they were everywhere.
oh, if the dogs jumped,
didn't know
you
what to do.
move.
Like we let the dogs out, and
I mean, as
they
soon as
just
they hit
went
the
in
grate,
different directions.
Yeah.
We were trying to get them back together. Like, what are they doing?
Each one of
they were
them
all
was on
running
a
rabbits.
rabbit. Yeah.
they were doing what they were supposed to do. But it's one of them situations like we hunted that place several times, and
We did the same thing that like Jamie's talking about.
Yeah,
though.
like
I mean, we go
once-
down there, if we might kill 10 or 15 rabbits, and then that was enough. We wouldn't go back for a few weeks, find somewhere else to go, and then we go back again, and just try not to overhunt it.
Yeah.
Let the population come back somewhat, but
a good rabbit hunt's hard to beat. It's a good time. It's about like a good duck hunt. It's one of them things you remember and you won't ever forget it. And It's
that property probably ain't worth a crap now though. All them trees probably got big and all the undergrowth gone.
Ain't no undercover and coyotes in there now, and
no, you can spot the deer hunt, but not for rabbits.
Every time I go down to Cleveland, I always look right there, which we argue trying to figure out what the heck.
Yeah, me and Mark went through there for a barbecue cook, and we was like, we turned right here on this road, and then Mark's like, no, it's the Rick's road down.
Huh? You go two ways. You could come off number 3 right there.
One road you turn off, and it was a church right there, old church.
61, it was a church, an old beer store or grocery store right there across from it, I thought.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 61. Was it 3?
61.
Oh, 61. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, one way we went one way, we turned, it was long gravel road. You stayed on them gravel roads way down through there and made a couple little turns and got to it. Or you could come in, go all the way down 61, but you had to go through Clarksdale and all that to get to it before they put that bypass in. So we usually pulled off before we got there and dodged that, majority of Clarksdale.
I'm going to leave out this weekend, get the last hunt over, and then I'm rabbit hunting.
So you got a Hope Outdoors event.
My first time going to Hope Outdoors hunt down in South Mississippi. Me and Brad's going. We'll leave Thursday and come back Sunday.
And what's the plan on that? Y'all know how many hunters you taking out?
I have no idea how many hunters it is. This, like I said, my first time going. They do it a little bit different than the physically challenged hunt up here because you're meeting at a central location and branching out and hunting different landowners' property. And so you're going to be the hunter, who's ever with them, and usually a guide and somebody with the camera. So you're gonna be 3 people to 4 people with including the hunter, but kind of looking forward to it. Something different.
Yeah, hopefully y'all can get them on some deer this weekend.
I got the nose jammer. My buddy Keith, he's coming down. I got him a can of nose jammer if he don't have none.
Is that the guy from
Texas? Yeah, Texarkana.
Yeah, good. What y'all hunting this weekend? What y'all's plans?
Yeah, I'm gonna check the weather. But I had rain in the forecast for us.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to get up 7 inches of rain between now and Saturday.
You hunting?
I'm gonna say it at least one more time.
Yeah, I got to.
I want to. My days are getting numbered.
But the thing about it is, I'm just gonna go sit.
Really, you ain't shooting?
I ain't gonna shoot a doe again.
Yeah. Shoot, I gotta have some more meat though.
I mean,
I'm waiting this last weekend. You need some?
I'll take one.
We might have to shoot you one.
I've had a busy year not to hunt this year. I ain't hunted a whole lot.
Well, it's time. It's time to go ahead and get that last freezer meat.
Just a little bit more.
The one that this is the last weekend.
I think it's what, Tuesday?
It closes a week from tomorrow.
So we got till next Wednesday.
31st.
Next Wednesday, technically. So pretty good.
Ain't got very many more days, boys, if y'all gonna get one. If you ain't got meat in the freezer, you better
we
get
talk
it.
about it snuck up on us. It's done one on by.
Yeah. That's all right, though, because like Jamie said, we can go into rabbit hunting, squirrel hunting for another month. Then we got turkey season around the corner. And
start fishing.
Always start stretching them lines, can't we?
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
I had to get us a White River trip, go over there and catch some of them old trout again.
Yeah, hey, we mailed out the winners. Didn't you do that yesterday?
Yeah, so the winners of the contest, we mailed those out yesterday. So y'all should be, depending on how far behind the mail service is, but y'all should be getting them in the next few days.
Then we're going to do, are you still running some other contest? Or?
We're still running a contest till end of deer season.
So you got 7 more days?
Got 7 more days these are new entries. And if you didn't win on the first one, you can resubmit something that you submitted on the first one.
And you're fixing to do the winning recipe today,
yeah,
right?
I'm doing the winning recipe today.
You going to film it?
Yeah, we're going to film it.
All right.
We'll recreate
we're gonna
eat
recipe.
Oh, well, good deal. Well,
I'm a little nervous. I brought some Imodium just in case. Just in case.
What was it called?
TNT.
That's what I'm scared of.
It's tenderloins and taters.
Tenderloins and taters. Man, you can't beat that.
No.
I hope that's what it stands for, not toilet paper. It'd be bad.
Toilet. TNTP.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do us for today, y'all. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll be back next week to do it all again. And y'all keep, checking out the social channels, watching all the fun stuff we're putting out.
Send us some topic ideas, anything you got.
Anything you want to hear us discuss, we'll give our take on it, right?
Yep. We got some pretty good stuff coming up. We got some good ideas we discussed this morning before the podcast that I think y'all are going to enjoy, though. So, ought to be an entertaining year.
Oh, yeah. We're going to try to get some guests on here, too. I know we'd like to get Colin on to come talk about that property we went to, and we got some other ideas of some folks coming on. So, Y'all stay tuned. We'll be back next time. We gone.